What is up, guys? This is my main Chief Fan here, and welcome back to another comic book review. Now, today, I'm going to be reviewing one of the most acclaimed comics of last year and this year, Outcast. This series is big now. It's even getting a TV show, which I watched a trailer for, and it looks great. Because this series is great. It's probably my favorite thing from Robert Kirkman. And I know a lot of people like to say, oh, Invincible, Walking Dead's great. And I haven't read Invincible yet, and I've read a bit of The Walking Dead, and I was okay so far, but I haven't really gotten into that so much. But I have read this volume, and it was fantastic. And I really can't wait to tell you guys what I thought of this book. So, why should I wait? Let's get started. You know what that means. It's premise time! So, our main character is pretty much a man named Kyle Barnes, who's pretty much a shutout and an outcast because of what happened with his life through his mother and his wife, through demonic possession. In fact, demonic possession has pretty much haunted him his whole life. But a reverend comes around the corner and tells him that he wants his help with a demon, seeing as how he handled his past experiences before. And it pretty much goes on from there through each story arc with the reverend and Kyle just going on and on with different demonic possessions, and you get to meet new characters and new storylines and new plot twists develop throughout the book, and it's just great. Really, it doesn't really have a premise, but more of a setup. I know premise is somewhat of a setup, but this is just a flat-out setup. It is the definition of an episodic story. And as the TV show, I can safely see it as being a show that doesn't have a continuing story, but just short story arcs that last about 2 or 3 episodes. And that is the series' biggest positive. Now, let's go on with the positives and negatives. And the reason why I say negatives as well, because I do have one problem with this book. I know everybody keeps saying that this book is a masterpiece, and while I do think it's a great book, I don't find it to be flawless. I found one problem with the series, and it's pretty big. But as well, the series' positives are so large in comparison that it literally stomps on it. So, let's talk about the positives of this book. Now, the first thing I want to say, like usual, is the art. Now, this art really reminds me of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye, where it kind of seems simplistic and it's not completely complete. That's weird, completely complete, but it really seems more of like a somewhat scratchy but also clean art style. It has a lot of bulky lines to it, and personally, I love it. I love Matt Fraction's Hawkeye run, and while it isn't the same artist, it's similar art. So, hey, I'm all up for it. It's not the greatest art I've ever seen, but it's definitely pleasing to look at. Next, the characters. Really, the only two I'm really going to go in depth with is the Reverend and Kyle. Now, first off, let me talk about Kyle. At first, I thought I was going to hate this character, which coincides with the problem I have with this series. But over time, he started to get really, really likable, and I come to really like this guy and feel sympathy for him. And that is a good character to the max. You feel for the character despite what has happened in his life, because he has done some pretty twisted things in his life. And now, that's really all I have to say about Kyle, because he is a little more one-dimensional more than others, but as well he kind of steps into the second dimension in terms of characters because of his twisted backstory, which is fantastic. I won't spoil it at all. All I'm going to say is that it involves demonic possession. I was about to say demonic depression. I'm like, what is that? But next I'm going to talk about the Reverend. I don't know exactly what his real name is, but I'm just going to call him the Reverend for now. He is one of the characters I liked the whole way through. And there's not much to him. He's just a nice, kind person that tries to bring the good of the world by religion, or mainly Christianity, because Christianity is the religion that they use to fight off the demons. It's pretty clear. They say God, they hold up a Bible. It's Christianity. And also, and I know I was going to go in depth with other characters, but I just want to mention one more character, and that's Kyle's sister, Megan. I'm really sure it's Megan, because I'm kind of bad with names, but I'm really sure it's Megan. But she really doesn't have as much screen time as the others, but she's a significant part of the story. If it wasn't for her, Kyle would not be in the situation he is in, because she led him to the Reverend, who asked him to do everything that happens in the series. So really, it's all her doing and all her help that brought Kyle outside and try to fight the fact of his outcast nature. And really, that's all I have to say about the characters. There's a whole ton of other characters that appeared a few times, but they don't have nearly enough screen time that I should mention them. But let me just tell you, they are really good. And while I don't remember their names, that is, like I said, that's a huge problem I have. They do seem likable. So that's enough for me. And now, the story. Phenomenal. The episodic nature is hands down the best part about the series. It just goes through short story arc after short story arc. This volume really much is 2 short story arcs, and really, I want more. I cannot wait for the second volume of this series. I'm excited because the last story arc is good all the way through. And the first story arc is the major problem I have with this series. But not really, but somewhat. So I'll leave that aside for now. First off, let me just say, Robert Kirkman, you genius. This is hands down your most creative work by far. Like, everybody's heard of a superhero story, everybody heard of the zombie apocalypse, and while I do think and from what I've read about The Walking Dead and what I've heard about Invincible, it seems very well done, but this is the only one I truly experienced well with you, and you are doing fantastic. Fantastic with this book, and really, I don't know what else to say. He pretty much combines religious symbolism, or like religious themes, and coincide with the good versus evil motive. And really, that is so well done, but as well, it's kind of a prompt for success if you handle it well, because it's not the hardest thing to work with combining the good versus evil with religious themes. Because, to be honest, there's God and Satan, and, the good and the evil. Next, I just want to say this real quick. Right now, I keep doing this. I know this review's kind of messed up, like it's all over the place, but I just want to mention one more thing before I get to my negative. And that is just the atmosphere of it. This has some of the best atmosphere I've ever seen in a comic, period. I'm dead serious. I love the atmosphere of this book. It has a creepy edge to it. It fits with the mood of the plot, and it just fits perfectly with the brilliant plot of the story. However, and I'm really sad to say this, I have one really big negative with this series, and this is a cardinal sin for any comic. As much as the good stuff great as the good stuff is, this negative legitimately brought it down so low for me at first. And that is the first issue. I have seen countless comic books have bad issue number 1s, but the rest of the series is really good. But for me, if I was reading this in singles, I would have stopped. The first issue of Outcast is really bad. I'm not gonna lie. It's not good at all. I was really disappointed in this book at first, saying, oh man, just another cliche good versus evil story. Let's get this over with. But by the second issue, when they meet the possessed human, everything changes. That's where the series skyrockets from there on out. But the first issue is where Kyle is unlikable. The Reverend kind of seems... the other characters seem generic, especially the Reverend. The story is very slow-paced. I know it's getting started, but it is very slow-paced. It was just a bad beginning. But luckily, what continues afterward is still good enough that I can safely call it a great book, despite the bad first issue. So now, it's score time. Now, this did not disappoint me at all, except for the first issue. And really, that first issue brought it down for me. But I still love this book. I don't care if the first issue was trash. I love this book, and I'm definitely on it for the long run. So that's why I give Outcast an 8.5 out of 10, recommending you to buy it. It is great, and I highly recommend it. If you want to, for investing-wise, if you find a cheap copy of issue number 1, pick it up, because it's going to go get pricey soon, especially with the release of the first trailer. But if you just want to read the series, I definitely recommend picking up this trade. It's cheap even for retail, but on Amazon, it's ridiculously cheap right now. Like, I think it's $5.50. It is cheap. But anyway, Outcast is just a brilliant, brilliant book by a brilliant writer. So that was the review, guys, and I want to know what you guys thought of Outcast. So comment down below and tell me what you guys thought of the book. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you find it okay? Just tell me. Also, follow my Twitter for frequent channel updates. And before I end the video, I am deeply sorry for not uploading for the last few days. I'm just going to say that right now. And it's not like, oh, I was sick or I was on vacation. It was my fault. I severely apologize, guys, and I'm even thinking of doing a day where I upload 2 videos to make up for it. But I'll try my best to do frequent uploads and more of a consistent uploading schedule from now on. Especially that I have a lot to read. But anyway, I'm not going to ramble on anymore. I'm Mega Man Chief Fan, and I'll see you later, guys.